Okay, today we're talking about Kaiju number 8, which is a fairly new anime on Crunchyroll right now, and it's actually pretty decent. I like it so far. We're, I think, 4 episodes in now. If you watch my Ninja Kamui video, around episode 4 is where it starts to get shit. So hopefully this anime doesn't, but I think it won't. I think this anime is going to be pretty good. Spoiler warning, just in case. If you don't care about spoilers, go ahead and continue. If you do, go ahead and watch these episodes if you want to. So essentially, we come into this world where kaijus are a thing. Kaijus are a normal part of living, where there is this defense force which take care of the kaiju. They have guns, they have suits, they take down kaiju, and they're like an elite special forces unit to take down these monsters. And then you have the cleanup crew, which once the kaiju is dead and rotting, basically, the cleanup crew comes in and disposes of these giant rotting corpses. I think Kafka is the main character's name, if I'm not mistaken. He is the main character who is part of the cleaning crew. We get to see that he wanted to join the defense force previously when he was a child, and he didn't essentially make it onto the defense force. He's like in his, I think he's 30s now, his early 30s, and his job is basically on the cleanup crew. His best friend when he was a child was the captain of the defense force now. When they were little, they used to talk about joining the defense force together and, being in like friendly competition with each other. And now she's there and he's cleaning up the mess that they leave behind. I believe at the end of the episode is where you find out, Kafka's in the hospital. He gets overtaken by this little tiny kaiju guy who becomes a part of him, and it's pretty interesting. That's kind of where the episode ends, and so we pick up on episode 2. Kafka has to obviously leave the hospital because now he is a kaiju. He's like a human-sized kaiju. He's a little bit bigger than a human, but not much. But it's hinted that he is pretty strong. Also, this kaiju has like a name, Kaiju number 8, which is where the title Kaiju number 8 of the anime comes from. Like there's a small group of kaijus that's able to inhabit people, and maybe these people are in full control. It's hard to really tell at this point in the series, but it seems like Kafka at least is in control of himself for the most part. There's also a couple other kaijus that are able to do this same thing, but we've only seen one other like this in the 4th episode of the series. And then you get some exposition with like on the news about Kaiju number 8 and who he was in his previous life. And he was, he wasn't the best guy or whatever it was, but he's basically disappeared. And now you got Kafka, who is Kaiju number 8. In episode 3, Kafka decides to try again to join the defense force. So he's going to the exam, or the exam. He meets this girl. He's also going with his friend, who is part of this story as well. But he meets this girl who's trying to join the defense force as well. She is extremely strong and powerful. We find out later that her dad is like, she's been raised essentially to be the best defense force agent that there can be. And he gives me a little bit of like Endeavor vibes for My Hero, at least when we initially see him. Kafka is trying very much not to use his powers. He's able to kind of control, or at least learn how to control, going from kaiju to human form. It's kind of like a Venom situation in a weird way, although he doesn't, at least at this point, have like a voice in his head or anything. So it's interesting. So he's able to not out himself by turning into a kaiju during at least the first part of the exam. He kind of sucks though. Like he's doing the physical test, and he's pretty slow. He's not doing the best on the exam as far as the physical test goes. And then we get to like the final part of the exam, which is the fighting of kaijus. They have this little arena or like miniature city, or a sectioned off part of a city where they have these kaijus, and they're basically trying to see if these future Defense Force agents are able to take down these kaijus as a team. And it goes pretty well. The girl is demolishing all of these kaijus. Unfortunately, Kafka kind of sucks still. He is not doing very well, but he does actually have a lot of kaiju knowledge, and this helps the rest of the team kind of fight the kaijus in a way other than the super overpowered girl that's just killing them all. But everyone else is able to do pretty well because he is giving them like pretty good tips and pretty good knowledge, because he's seen, you know, he's disposed of a bunch of kaiju before, and he has a good amount of knowledge. But he does break his leg like during a fight, and he's having to be carried by his friend to get to the last kaiju, which is another level of kaiju that's stronger than all the rest that they've been fighting up until this point. What ends up happening is the girl basically takes this kaiju down, no problem, easy peasy, it's dead, or so you think. And then we see this kaiju that looks like a person, like a human-sized kaiju, who talks very much like Kafka. The girl's like, what is going on? You can talk. The kaiju like basically shoots stuff at her and is able to wound her pretty easily, to the point where she doesn't really stand that much of a chance, at least right now, after she's been injured already. And he revives a bunch of the dead kaijus, and they seem to be pretty strong. This kaiju, the human-sized kaiju, is like a 6 point something. I think I don't know how high the rating goes, but it's later seen that kaiju number 8 is like a 9 point something on the scale, which is one of the strongest kaijus in the world, stated by the test evaluators, the exam evaluators. They even go as far as to be like, that must not be right, that must be a failure on the readings, because that can't be possible. So Kafka seems like he's pretty fucking strong. Anyways, the girl gets pretty much bodied. She gets slammed into the wall. She's about to get murked by this kaiju that got revived. The strong one that she defeated earlier is revived and is now about to murder her. But Kafka steps in just in time to deflect the blast from this kaiju, and she is surprised that she's still alive. She sees him defending her, and she's like, what are you? Like, what is going on? And he's basically like, please don't tell anybody. I'm really trying not to get murdered by this fucking Defense Force. I'm trying to help. And then he absolutely demolishes this kaiju in like one punch, and it turns this dude into mist. This kaiju in the mist, and she is extremely surprised at this. She basically passes out after he pleads for her not to tell anybody, and he turns back into his normal self, and they get the fuck out of there. They get back to the shelter, and the captain and her second in command get to the site where the kaijus were, and they're like, what happened? What could have done this? I don't understand. What could have destroyed this kaiju like this? And so they're kind of confused about the situation. They're suspicious, but they don't know who, they don't know how. They're kind of at a loss as of right now. And when they ask her, the badass girl, what happened, she's basically like, I killed that kaiju in order to cover for Kafka, which is nice. She actually did cover for him. So, I mean, we'll see where it goes from there. It seems pretty promising as of right now, but who knows? Anyways, that's all I really wanted to talk about. I'll probably make another video in the future once the series is over, at least the first season, and we'll kind of just do a little summary. Thank you guys again, and I will see you in the next video.